Is January 12th, 2024. Yeah, we made it. um, and today we have an interesting show. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories. One of my favorite things. So go get your tinfoil hats because we got some shows for you. And this is episode 3 of Outside the Box. Before we get started, let me say that everything that we discuss and we show is for educational purposes only. We advise that you use your own discernment and do your own research. And with that being said, we are ready to go. And here is Susie. Hello, Susie.
Hey, everybody.
You have a good day today?
Yeah, it was just cold, and but we actually went to where did you go for your birthday the other day? It was
Golden Corral.
No, that's where we went today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went. Joel needed a new pair of boots because he told me that I bought him size 9, but they turned into size 12, and his feet were like going all over the place in them, so he wore them out completely. He goes, Mom, I need a new pair of boots. I'm like, all right, let's go get those boots and let's go get something to eat.
He stretched them out.
He wore them plumb out, yeah.
I remember one time I seen this kid walking around, had these tennis shoes on with holes in the bottom and holes some toes. Big toes were sticking out. I'm like,
oh my God.
I need some new shoes. He's like, no, these are comfortable. Okay.
You could breathe, right?
Yeah. I know when I was a kid, I always wanted new shoes, all different colors and kinds. And I was like, yeah.
Right.
But only wore tennis shoes. So yes, when I was a kid, Vans were what we wore.
Well, we have to wear boots around here because we got horses and things like that will step on your toes if you're not protected,
Yeah, I bet that doesn't feel good. So
that's
what do we want to start with tonight?
Yeah. What is a conspiracy? Or there's probably I look at it like this. Because it's like inquiring minds want to know, right? You have all these things going on in the world, right? And then you have everybody coming up with, some people have facts, some people have theories, thoughts, feelings, emotion into all this stuff. Some people have trust in God, so they know that what they see is going to change or get better too, right? Or from the outcome. So you have all these, different variables, but people call it a conspiracy whenever they hear people talking about something that they don't deem as being the truth, or they don't deem as maybe factual yet, because maybe somebody else has some more information that they never got, so, and then they didn't get it on mainstream news, so they're not convinced because it didn't come on the news, right? Well, I see that. I see that laugh. Go ahead.
What do you think? Everything that people want to hide from the American people, or even people all over the world, they hide it, so even the news gets paid to lie to us. And people don't realize that. But if you go to every channel and you watch every news thing, they all say the same exact thing because it's scripted. They do not do live news anymore. They don't get out there and they're in the rain reporting on a hurricane. They don't do that. It's all faked and made up now, and
that is so weird too. When you see that, when you watch like that, I'm sure people have seen the TikToks or the YouTubes where they show 20 different newscasters all saying the same exact thing across the United States. It's like, that is not a coincidence, people. That's scripted.
Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly what it is. Or I like the one that was made of the newscaster that was supposed to be out in this hurricane, and he's fighting to stand up, and he's doing the best he can, and behind him there's these two kids walking just normal through the water puddle looking at him like it's crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you got caught, dude. So
they're actors too, right?
Yeah.
Newscasters and actors are good actors, right?
Yep. There you go. When you get paid to lie, you're going to do the best you can. Better you do, the more money you make.
I did not realize, even like in law enforcement, I was talking to a deputy sheriff who was, he told me, he said, I'm a man that tells the truth, and he said, but what really bothers me, I don't know, I thought this was pretty good advice. He said, what really bothers me is they passed a law for, law enforcement to lie, and we don't get in trouble. So we can lie as much as we want about anything. And, and he goes, I have a problem with that because I tell the truth, but it's supposed to be, according to the law, it's only supposed to be used, the lying, to get somebody to confess to a crime. But there's really no, let's say, law on how they use their lies, because a lie is a lie, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was very weird that we have, people in authority positions that are lying to us, and it's okay for them to lie, unless they get in the courtroom and they have to swear to tell the truth. Then, of course,
you and I turn around and call somebody out on that lie, and we tell other people what the real problem is, and they look at us like we're crazy because what? We're conspiracy theorists.
I know. So, but it's people have been fed the lies for so long that what are they supposed to believe? Anymore? Who are you going to believe anymore? Because you don't know who's lying to you, who's telling the truth. So yeah, people get real defensive nowadays, and they get like they don't want to believe anything. And can you blame them? No, you can't really blame them.
I mean, I can't. And I usually tell them, look, I don't care if you don't believe me. Just look at this, because there's more to this than what you know.
Right.
I have that problem with people that I know.
Right.
I don't want to hear it, or you don't know what you're talking about, or you're just crazy. I think I need to put you in a home. It's like, oh my God, open your mind. Open your mind. You have to open your mind. Look at things outside, because there are clues. There are things that point you in the right direction of truth. It's not always right there in that little inside that box right there that they're trying to keep you. But you got to open your mind to see it.
I mean, I'm sure you went to regular school, and where, I did,
Yeah.
and, they have history, and they have all these classes they teach you, and they tell you what you're supposed to believe. This, you read these books and you do the reports, and you're told this is how it is. This is how the world is. And then you go to church, if you did go to church, and then it depends on the religion that you went to. And then they told you this is the religion. This is how it is, And so based on your entire upbringing, you form your thoughts and your opinions, and, and be it right or wrong, that's what you know.
Right.
What you know.
Yep.
So, so then you start finding out that some of the stuff that you might have been taught, maybe this doesn't add up. Okay. And then you start to research, and then thank God for the internet, because now you can start looking things up, and start researching things,
Yeah,
and
I think it was really harder on people back in the day when we didn't have internet.
Yeah, you had to go to the library. You know how hard it was to be in there pulling up books and looking for that book and then going through that entire book trying to find what you're looking for. I mean, shoo, it was very slow to learn and slow to get the information. And then it depended on your library, what books they had.
Yep.
So your library may not have, all the books that you needed to look into. So you're really limited when, we grew up,
Well, I think it's a lot different now. Like, way back in the day when you bought a Webster's dictionary, it had umpteen million things in it you could look up. But now if you buy one now and compare it to some in the old days, they've like taken all these new words and they've put them in there and they've just made all kinds of stuff up. And it's like, wait a minute. And that's how they ended up changing. Look at our language. Every time you turn around, somebody's adding a different thing to our language,
Right.
And
Yeah.
like,
I remember reading in the Bible one day and I was like, it said, talked about a cistern. And I'm like, what the hell is a cistern? So I asked Buck because he was born in 1899. I said, Buck, what's a cistern? He said, that's a man-made water hole. It's a man dug it out. It could be just a little pond or a whatever. And that's where they get their water. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't even know. I didn't know what that was,
Right?
I mean, but that's like an older, thing that people used to do. They used to make those cisterns for water in their fields and stuff. So, stuff like that, you don't know. The old folks knew because that was their language, their words, their,
And it's nowhere anymore.
Yeah. So now now we have Wiki and we can look things up, and hopefully Wiki gets it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, which conspiracy theorists, there are so many. I mean, we've got aliens and Bigfoot and JFK and
Yep.
We're not going to do 9/11 because that's going to take time to do. We have to say that for another show.
Well, they're all things that people debate over and try to find. Here's the thing: if you're looking for an answer and you keep looking, then it's apparent that you haven't got the truth. Because when you find the truth, then it's like God says, you're set free. You're no longer looking because now you know. And when you know, you know.
Yep.
So, but if you're still questioning it and you're still trying to find answers, it's because internally you know that you don't have that answer.
Or you don't have, or you can have half answers, like who,
still
what, but you don't know why.
Yeah, that's still not complete. You're still searching, you're still looking, and you're not satisfied with just part of an answer sometimes.
Oh, and when it comes to like 9/11, I'm completely satisfied. I have done so much on that. I've read stuff on it. I've found stuff out. I've been told certain things. I put so much together on that. I'm at peace with it now. I can just stop looking. The whole JFK assassination thing.
Right.
I'm pretty much at peace with that too.
Right.
Because when you do research, and when you do your own research on this stuff, it'll make you feel good when you find out that truth.
Right.
Instead of just going, the news said. Really? People, the news.
We'll go talk about JFK. So,
okay.
November 22nd, 1963. Okay, so I remember I was born in 1960. Okay. So I remember being in Grandma's house in Talmadge, Ohio, and she had a TV in the living room and she was in the kitchen, and John F. Kennedy came on, and I was 3 years old, and I remember him coming on and giving this speech, and I was like, Grandma, who is that on the TV, Grandma? I remember seeing this man and just like, who is that man? And she said, that's the president of the United States. And I'm like, and I remember that, that was one of those memories that for some reason, JFK seemed bigger than life to me on that day, and I remember that at 3 years of age. So at 3, he was standing outside. I remember he was standing outside speaking to a crowd. And, I wanted to know at 3 who that man was,
Right.
Look, and then, what is the chances that this last November 22nd, that we get invited to go visit, to go to, Dallas and do the interview with James Files.
Right.
Right. And so that was like a really trippy experience, because I meet James and I meet his wife. And James, for the listeners, if they don't know who James Files is, he's the man who took the headshot of JFK on that day. And his story is that he was mobbed, that he was actually made in a laboratory in Mobile, Alabama. This is his story. And he was trained and raised as an assassin for the mob. He worked under Charles Nicoletti, and they were asked by the CIA to. Oh, and I have. Let's see. Here's. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the cover of.
Yes.
Of the book that his wife and him wrote, called Primary Target. Okay, so he, and there, I don't know if you can see this picture here. He's showing the headshot that he took. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we got to interview, and I got to spend the day with him and his wife, and ask him a lot of questions and stuff like that. And basically, the CIA would hire outside of itself to go do,
Right.
So so the Chicago mob was, huh?
For people who don't think that they make people in labs, you're wrong, because they do. And they've been doing it for a long time. Even Disney had their own little lab where they made their own people. So bypass the fact that she said that and you're still stuck on that. Made him in a lab. Get over yourself, because they do.
They inseminate horses all day long. They can flush an egg from a horse, and they can inseminate it and put it in another recipient mare and raise a baby. It's just science, And then I have a friend, a man that I know that I met, years ago, Darren Blanton. Darren Blanton is one of the wealthiest men in Dallas. Actually, he helped fund Donald Trump back when he first ran in 2016. Darren owns a big ranch, and he bought a horse called Highbrow Cat. He went and had Highbrow Cat cloned with some new technology, and this is so cute. He names that cloned horse Copycat.
Well, there you go.
Copycat, yeah. And Copycat has stood and bred other mares, and so cloning is really advanced. It's really come a long ways, and so they can pretty much do just about anything within the lab as far as making.
And the sheep that they made, what was her name? What was the sheep's name? Dolly.
Yeah.
Okay. And when they made her, that wasn't the first. That was not the first. That might have been the first one that wasn't born with 2 heads. But
maybe the first that they're telling us about is not, like necessarily the first. First that you publicly talked about.
Yep. Yeah. So, that was publicly talked about. There you go.
Publicly, yeah. Because it's like the UFO conspiracy. It's always been a conspiracy, and now the government with that guy Lewis, he's come out and said, yes, it's real. Obama has come out and said, yes, it's real. We don't know what these things are, a lot of them. So now that
then on that one, you've also got on that one, yes. I mean, we believe that they exist. We believe they're here on this planet. But our government also has got technology to where they have made things that people see that think are UFOs. And they hide so much, and have for decades. But we're catching up with them.
It's
Definitely.
it's like, you know, they'll have the technology for a long time before they release it into the public, you know. So with James Files, he that was a pretty interesting day. You know, he'd shared a story about, you know, but the thing of it with James is he spent 50 years in prison, and then he ended up having a conversion to Jesus, and Jesus told him to get his house in order because he was coming home soon. So, and then what happened was an FBI agent, actually, a guy named Zach, I think, had kind of figured out that he was the shooter and went to visit him in prison and then did some videos. And that's how Pamela watched that video, his wife, and then contacted him and said, I appreciate you and your story. And, you know, because they figured out he was that shooter behind the grassy knoll behind the fence. The FBI figured it out, you know. I mean, they figured out he was the one. So he came public and just shared the story, you know. So, I mean, these are things now that, you know, are coming to light, but, you know, it's been 50 years.
Yep.
50 years waiting to find someone to tell the story, you know. And unfortunately, with conspiracies, a lot of times, you know, we're waiting many, many, many years, and then, you know, for the truth, you know.
Yeah. And it takes them a while. Even when people know the truth, they still drag their feet on it. They'll deny it as long as they can until they can't do it anymore. Which we're getting to that point now. So good.
You know, I was talking to Roger today, and I was like, I said, you know, I was talking about Megyn Kelly came out with that TikTok.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and find that while you're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I said to Roger, I said, you know, Megyn Kelly just came right out and said that Epstein is, you know, not dead. And so she has inside information. So, and he said, well, I thought he got killed, or, you know, and I said, I know. See, they do a really good job of insinuating that he committed suicide, that he was choked, or he was hung, or, I mean, nothing's ever like concrete. It's like, okay, we think he got choked because of where it happened. It was like down here and not up here, like if you were being, you know, hung. And, you know, right. I think that Rogan guy, you know, he made a distinction between, you know, why it was not suicide, or, you know, so yeah. And then you have all the cameras going out. Nobody's around in a high security prison. See, and that was what I was suspicious of, the fact that there's no way that all the cameras are going to be off. There's no way nobody's going to be around, and then he's just going to hang himself. You know, it just it just seemed like bullshit to me. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if it smells like bullshit, it's probably bullshit. So,
or if it really doesn't make a damn bit of sense, okay, because he was a high priority prisoner.
Yeah,
he was, you know, so they're going to watch him like a hawk. Okay, they're going to watch him. The cameras aren't going to go off. The guard's not going to fall asleep, and they're not going to know what goes on.
But let me ask you a question. Yeah. How good is our witness protection program if they can't pass the lie?
Well, then it would suck. But
so they gotta make it kind of sound believable.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
You know, it's gotta have some kind of, you know, you can fluctuate between, what happened, but it's got to be somewhat believable.
Yep. Do you want me to play that video?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get it going here. I'm still kind of new at this, so it does take me just a few minutes to get it out here, but I will get it.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Right? Okay, here we go.
We're not done with Jeffrey Epstein. I can tell you that for a fact. Can't tell you how I know, but I can tell you for a fact we're going to hear a lot more about Jeffrey Epstein in the coming year. And you may be even hearing from him directly. More on that as I'm allowed to tell you. And we're not done with Jeffrey Epstein.
And there it is.
There it is. There she said it.
Yep.
Okay, a friend of mine said, yep, and he's singing like a canary.
Right?
So
I don't doubt that at all.
Right? So if he's, what is a canary in a cage, singing
Right.
like a canary, Like that, there's that movie Goldfinch. That bird is sitting on a perch, but he's got a chain around his ankle. He's not going nowhere.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, what better to, go into a witness protection program and tell the public, that he died of suspicious death, right? Like,
Committed suicide.
yeah, which is suspicious because what's suspicious about it? There's nobody around. There's no guards.
Well,
there's no camera. There's no action. No lights. No camera. No action.
Right. And here's the difference between an open mind.
I gotta laugh because it doesn't add up.
And then here's the difference between an open mind and somebody who just takes what they say and, okay, we're sitting here going, he hung himself. Wait a minute. Okay, hang on. Because he was put by himself. Then they said that they didn't have him by himself. They had somebody else in there with him. Nope. He was put by himself. He was under protection.
Yeah.
He was high profile. So, they can't.
High priority.
Yes. So for him to hang himself, well, that's stupid. Now we're looking at it going, no way. But then you got the people that will take it for what they say. Well, he hung himself. Oh, wow, that's too bad. Okay, well.
Well, they said he hung himself, so that's got to be God. By golly, what happened?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because they don't lie. They would not lie to us. No, not us. They're law enforcement. They can't lie to us.
Oh, they all can. They all get paid to lie.
Yeah.
That was actually like the media. One of our presidents, I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name or not, but one of our presidents signed into law that the media is allowed to cause propaganda. They are allowed to lie.
Right.
They turned into, instead of being news people, now they're just entertainers.
Actors.
Yep.
It's like these movies. They disclose everything, okay, publicly, but they twist it with lies and truth, so it's all. So you don't know what's up or down. It's like in Stranger Things, you're in an upside down world because you don't know upside down from right side up.
As above as below.
They get done with you, right?
Right.
So what is another huge conspiracy besides Epstein? Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah. I like that one. Definitely like that one.
That's another big one. Now, for me, I'd heard forever that Elvis, do you remember those reports where they'd say Elvis was spotted over in
a 7-Eleven.
Yeah. I saw Elvis. He's and so you always hear these strange, rumors floating around that people swore up and down that they saw Elvis somewhere, for years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, I never heard that about John Wayne. Okay. Shoot, I heard about Elvis all the time,
Yep.
So it just kind of got like you'd hear more and more rumors, right? Elvis is alive. We saw him. Really? Okay. Sure you did. Right?
And
See, I grow up thinking, what, who drank the Kool-Aid? Like,
I think I was 9 or 10 when they said Elvis died.
okay.
So, I knew who he was. I was young enough that was the music that we actually listened to. I had a friend that was just head over heels for him. My family was around him when he was younger. Apparently, I was too. Somebody has a picture of me sitting in his lap when I was little. And so it's like when he died and they said why he died or how he died, I heard somebody in my family say, there's no way. And then they made it to where, oh, well, he was on all kinds of drugs and he was doing this. So, yeah, I see how he died. And I still had people in my family going, bullshit. We'll speed up to nowadays and look at all the stuff that you and I have gone through and read and figured out. And I knew a long time ago, but when you don't have anything to back it up and you say, well, I know he's still alive.
Well, we got to go back to that witness protection. They got to have a good story. It wouldn't be the witness protection if it wasn't a good story, good cover.
That's true.
That's
true.
So, for me, I just happened to live down the road from the McCullens, who, they had all these Elvis pictures around their house. And I'm like, I heard Elvis is alive. Well, honey, they are alive. He is alive. And I'm like, huh? He says, yes, we're related, but we're not allowed to talk about it. Other than the fact that he is alive and he's doing well and he is doing gospel.
Which is something that Lisa Marie and everybody else has said, that if he's still alive, he would be doing gospel. He would be
teaching and doing gospel. Yes, because he was a very spiritual person in that regard.
And I mean, it's a known fact that probably one of the reasons why there were so many different sightings of Elvis is because Elvis actually worked for, was it the CIA?
DEA.
DEA.
He was DEA and he was wanting to become FBI. He went to see Nixon and wanted to be FBI.
And you have those letters, huh?
Yes, I have a copy of that letter.
Handwritten letter that Elvis wrote while he was on a plane.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, because it was very sincere. It reminds me a lot of how, if you think about the format of his letter, Brenda, it was like almost like Trump. He's basically saying, I want to make America great again. Let me get involved. Let me do something. Let me, be at the ground level and let me do this. That's what Elvis was saying. Let me get in there and get my hands dirty, and, and those are the kind of things that you hear Trump saying, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to deal with all these idiots, and, I mean, he uses words like real people use: stupid, idiots,
and there's so
you're
much.
Fired. You're fired.
You're fired. And there is so much going on in this world and people just don't know. They don't know. They close their eyes and they refuse to really look around. I mean, honestly, think about it. Really look around, people, and tell me, are the things that you're seeing right now, are they okay?
Right.
No, they're not okay.
And then what do we have? We have another conspiracy with JFK Jr. Another one. I mean, so it's another one where you hear he's alive. He's alive. Seen him over here. Seen him over there.
I don't think as many people have seen him places.
A few claim they have. You know what I mean?
The last few years, it's been more of a thing than it was when he first, had his plane go down. But, when you sit there and you think about that now, supposedly that plane blew up, but yet they found everybody still strapped in their seats.
Supposedly, there's a lot of things that supposedly happened.
Yep.
Yep. So this is the thing. Got to remember, they are allowed to lie.
Well, when you're put in a witness relocation program,
you have to live a lie.
You have to live.
There's no way
to keep you alive.
There's no way that is based on telling the truth.
Yes. And you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, whoever you want to talk about, but your own disclosure, you cannot.
Right.
You cannot admit, like if people go up to Elvis and say, hey, you're Elvis, right? They can't admit it.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen. You're not going to. You can walk up to he's not Elvis now, but the old Elvis, who is somebody else now.
Yes.
Which I'm going to say that according to many people, and I'm not the only one saying this, and based on what people have done in their research, they have found a man in Arkansas and Benton called Bob Joyce, who they are saying lines up with Elvis Presley. And they believe 100% wholeheartedly, Now, is Bob Joyce ever going to say he's Elvis? No.
Yep. Nope.
Is he ever going to say he was Elvis? No.
No, right. The only thing that man says, and this is exactly how he says it, I am nobody but who I am.
Or who I always was. I am nobody but who I always was. That's about as close as you're going to get to.
Absolutely.
Anything to anything to anything. Okay. So, now you gotta look back at why would people have to go into a witness protection program? I mean, let's back it up. Okay. So they feel that their life or their family's lives, have to be protected.
It's usually because they either know something.
Testify, like Elvis testified against
they're involved in something that they want to turn states.
Sammy Davis Jr., who they were professed Satanists under Michael Aquino, right? So he had to go against the darkest organization on this planet.
Yep.
So I would understand why you not be who you think you should be or could be or would be or whatever.
Right.
And why does anybody? I mean, why would they have to hide Epstein?
Well, I'll tell you, because he had evidence against people that.
Well, I think that his life was in danger, at every second, if everybody knew where he was at every second. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
Anybody could slip in there and give him a Mickey, you know?
True. True.
So, you got to move the guy somewhere and protect him. I mean,
True.
he would be the most, if you're going to speak out against, a bunch of dark, should we say, a bunch of
Dangerous people.
darkness, because what is involved is children, innocent children, that is involved in the whole thing, right? So you have not just what you know about, and there's a lot that you don't know about. We don't know about. We haven't even learned yet. So yeah, I think he would be a huge target. I mean, William Steele, that friend of mine, William, William knew Epstein and Ghislaine, and he said that Ghislaine that was asked William to, and he wrote this in his book, William's book. William was asked to kill Epstein because he was showing people videos of these different people on the list, and so it was like, he's blackmailing us. We got to get rid of Epstein. So I mean, he's been kind of on the boo-boo list for a long time,
Right.
So I mean, you got to think about why people would even have a witness protection program and why they would want to go into it. And so, you got to tell a story and you got to tell it good. If anybody's going to believe it, right?
Yep.
So it's got to be a pretty damn good story.
Even though sometimes I think their stories are just ass backwards sometimes, but yeah, the masses will believe it.
Well, but, somebody who can see the inconsistencies in it, then that creates a doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
my biggest thing is that there's no way they're going to leave Epstein. That was like, they're not going to just like turn off the cameras and nobody's going to know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. Like, come on. Right? Like, we're supposed to believe that. Come on. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't believe that. Okay. Even if I wanted to, I can't.
Right.
Just because I can't believe it. Because I think you're lying. So to me, I've always, I believe in telling the truth. And there's something that doesn't ring right when you don't hear the truth. And to me, when I hear a lie, it just doesn't sound like the truth. Now, if people in the audience, maybe they're people who tell little white lies or little fibs, they may blur between the lines. They may not know the difference. Okay. But if you're a truth teller, and that's like I am, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And when I hear a lie, it don't sound like the truth to me. When I hear the truth, it sounds like the truth.
You're also one of those people that you can suspect something and possibly think that it's true. But if you don't know for sure, you'll say maybe.
Right.
Because you don't know for sure. But when you know for sure, you're going to straight up say, oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, because some people, they want to believe the people lying to them, that they're not lying to them, because they want to believe that humanity doesn't stoop that low, But, and it's kind of odd because a witness protection program isn't really stooping low in the sense of, telling a lie.
Their job is to protect people, to make sure they stay alive.
That's the avenue that they take to achieve that. Okay. So, and we think of these people like these people wouldn't do that. But you know, these things are real. They do exist. You know,
Right.
and you know how many people are in these programs? Who knows? You know, it's probably huge. You know,
Oh, I do not doubt that at all.
right?
You know, and you never really hear like of it as an agency, but I can only imagine that it is a very big agency, and it's not really one that's talked about. You know,
Right.
it's almost like they're as secluded as the people that they have to put into witness relocation.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm sure everybody's seen a few movies or two about people who, you know, spies who go into witness protection program, or people who are married to people they don't even know who they are. They're like, you know, they're a spy from somewhere here or there, and then they're like, I didn't even know that was that person. And you know, I mean, we've seen plenty of those movies, right?
Yep.
So, and they base these movies on factual things,
Yep.
you know.
Believe it or not, they do. And everything that you see in these movies, cartoon shows, like, you know, one of the big ones is everybody always says, well, The Simpsons have predicted it again.
Yeah,
The Simpsons come out with shows that talk about things that are going on now, but they were made like the show came out like 8 years ago, you know, but yet to talk about what's going on this very same day. Why is that?
I know.
I know why.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
It's,
because they have to tell you what they're doing. Because if there's one thing that they believe in, it's karma.
well, so they tell you, it's like, it's then in a way they really didn't lie to you. They told you the truth, but they
Just
told it
thought
to
it
you
was
in a cartoon version. So
yeah,
therefore,
you didn't take
you
it
didn't-
serious.
you think, okay, you know, it was a cartoon, so therefore it's not the news.
Right. And I mean, it's just another way to pull the wool over people's eyes.
So I heard another thing about the mall.
Oh,
The
yeah.
UFO that in
Aliens in the mall. I love it.
aliens in the mall, right?
Aliens in the mall in Miami, of all places.
Miami.
Welcome to Miami.
Yes, I've been there several times, and I didn't really like it too much. You know,
And you know what? I don't mind talking about this because I am going to say this. Anybody who lives in Miami that was at the mall or lives anywhere around the mall, please contact us. Email us. The email here for this show is 2023, all small caps, outside the box at gmail.com. It's 2023 outside the box at gmail.com. Send us an email and tell us what you think, or if you know something, email us because we're quite interested in this story. Believe it or not, we covered it on Tuesday and we liked it. So we are really, really interested.
yes,
in
it's
topic.
definitely a weird one.
Right?
So I'm sure most people have heard about it, but if many haven't. You know, the best video that I watched on it was where it. Okay, so they're saying it wasn't a mall, but technically it is. It is a mall. It is, well, technically it's a marketplace, small outside
like
mall.
A strip mall.
Well,
is what a lot of people call
it's like
that.
a huge piece of property, okay? And it has stores in it, but a lot of tents and the little setups and tables of individuals as well. Like you would see like in a flea market or a farmer's market, or you know, you have all these Chinese little places and restaurants, and then you have there was a guy who had a booth for graffiti, and you have all these people selling stuff and doing stuff. And so it's out in the air, in the open, you're looking up at the sky and the stars, and you're walking around, and you're like, if you go to a carnival and you're outside.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people, and they're all going different directions. It's a very crowded area, very busy area. People shopping and, looking at stuff and walking around talking. And there were fireworks, but it's not like they said. There was like a fireworks display. They were actually sitting on fireworks, and people were watching the fireworks. Really pretty display. But everything was normal, normal fireworks, normal everything. Okay. So according to this one report, this person said that these kids, they showed up and they kind of looked a little geeky or something. I guess that's the way I took it. They looked a little geeky. One of them was wearing like goggles or something, like science lab kids or something. I don't know. And they had a radio box or something, and they set it down. And I guess there was another box over on the other side. And apparently these kids plugged it in, which I looked at that mall. There's electrical cords. There's everything. I mean, they just sat down somewhere, and probably the people there was like some groups of people that's kind of watching them. People were just kind of come up to see what they were doing, because they were plugged in this box and started to glow. So there was different people just kind of watching it, kind of to see what these kids were doing, or, were they selling something? Were they showing them something? There's fireworks going off. There's different things happening that night. Everybody was having a good time, So this box they plug this box in and it starts to glow. And what this person said this was really interesting. This person said that these kids that were there were kind of dressed in these kind of black robes, sort of. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't hear that from the other people, but this one person was saying they were kind of dressed in these black robes. And once this box started to glow really bright, almost so bright, like a LED light in your face or something, right? Really, really bright. This other box started popping, pop, pop, pop. It started popping. And this one guy who, he described it, he was the guy who does graffiti. His friend does the graffiti down there. He said he saw a leg step out of the box and then an arm come out. Yeah. And it was like something was coming out of the box. And then this other guy was saying what happened was all of a sudden there was these men that came and started circling around them, like boxing them in. And this guy said he saw one of these beings, which a lot of them were saying, now we're not going to say it was aliens because we don't know what they were, but they were giants. So, but this other person said he saw one of these giants grab a young child and eat the child.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, wait a minute, what?
I say, what the hell? What the hell, Brenda? What the hell?
What the hell? Because I heard somebody else say that when they stepped out, they were kind of looking at people like, what am I doing here? Where am I? That they weren't really aggressive. Then I hear the one that ate the kid, and I'm like,
yeah, you gotta wonder, like, okay. And then there was like these guys circling around it before the police got there. So could that be our conspiracy of Men in Black showed up to control, contain the situation because things got out of hand, and then all the power goes out? And so did the power all get zapped when this thing was popping and glowing? And what the hell was going on in Miami?
Yeah. And then they had photographs of just weird clouds, dark clouds, weird formations. Then all of a sudden they get zapped with, I think it ended up, the count was like 4 tornadoes. And it's like, wow, Florida's popping, boy, I'll tell you.
And then so you have 50 some people claiming they saw the same thing.
Yes.
You have people saying we saw these shadowy figures and they were glitching, and glitching, running, or glitching and walking, and everybody started running, and then
All
uh,
right.
you know, the one guy was kind of making fun about the fat ladies running,
Yeah.
which it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Hey,
Yeah.
it was over when the fat lady was running. Everybody knew it was time to leave the party. When the fat lady ran, you run.
It's time to go.
You
That's
don't
right.
you don't stick around no more. So yeah, I think that, what a day that was at the mall, right? Did you
Yeah.
find that song about the alien in the mall?
Oh,
Oh,
when I first heard this, when it first came out,
that is
I
so
just kind
crazy.
of what popped into my mind was a song by Joe Diffie called Third Rock from the Sun. And there is a verse in there where it says that the town went dark, and
The
then
town went dark.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
the waitress called the cops because she swears she saw it all. She saw a giant alien land at the mall, and I'm like, really?
The
They just
waitress,
not
the
take this
the
scenario
song,
from this song.
oh my God, the waitress says she saw a giant alien at the mall.
Yeah.
Was that a Simpson song?
No, nope. There actually was a movie that
Sure
was
don't
out
sound
that
like
used
it,
that song.
right? Sounds
Yeah,
like a Simpson.
right?
Right? Oh my God, you can't make that up. That's just so funny.
No. And that was, like I said, knowing what I know about how things happen and
Right.
what we're lied to about and how they try to false flag everybody and all this stuff. When I heard that, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. They seriously made this and they took it from that song. What? What? What the hell? I've got
What the hell?
what the
Now,
hell?
now let's talk about Michael Jackson.
Oh, shall we?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
with a lot of people saying Michael Jackson is still around. I mean,
Yep.
I'm just saying, I don't know a whole lot about the Michael Jackson story, but I
Now,
do know that
have
his
you
circumstances of his passing somewhere was very mysterious. Didn't make a lot of sense. And,
yep.
that was one of those stories that just didn't ring true for me. I don't know what it rang, but it didn't ring true. I just thought, well, there's too many holes in that story. You know, it,
Uh,
it just don't sound right, look right, or feel right. And then the fact that, Michael kept writing these songs that they don't really care about us, and he kept exposing and saying that our history's been lying to us. They've been lying to us. They've been lying,
he was
lying, lying, lying,
right. And he was trying to um basically rat out the music industry. And if you know anything about the music industry, which now a lot of stuff is starting to come out, the music industry was just a very big uh it it has been a bad thing for a long time. And when you have all the people, all the entertainers that change the way they look, the way they dress, the music that they make, gets involved in some very seriously bad stuff. So, that's what he was doing. He was trying to say he had enough. He had enough. He was done with them and doing what they wanted to do. One of the last things that he said before he passed away was that he had purchased half of Sony.
Supposedly passed away.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, according to
he
according
had
to
enough.
like there's like a multitude of witnesses who claim he's alive. Then there's a multitude of witnesses who claim he's not alive. So, I mean, it's one of
Then
those things again where nobody's really wanting to believe what they're being told again.
then it also takes you back to that whole propaganda thing that they'll sit there and put out that the reason why people say this is because his fans do not want to believe that he's gone. and all this other stuff. Hey, you know what?
Well, I think as fans can make their own decision, don't need to be told by the naysayers why they believe what they believe. So
Absolutely.
that's just another bullshit comment.
Yep. That's what
You know.
it is.
People choose to believe what they believe based on what they know to be true or not true according to their meter reader, you know.
That's another thing I want to bring up. People really have a hard time paying attention to that, what they call so-called gut feeling. Y'all really need to pay more attention to a gut feeling, because it is something that is inside of you that we have, that people don't realize we have, that tells you the truth. It warns you, it tells you the truth, it tries to save you from things, but people ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood that. I've always paid attention to that. Boy, let me tell you what, that's got me out of some really messed up situations. And then there's times I've ignored it, but hey.
Because that's the God feeling. Your gut is your God feeling. And people ignore God. People want to do what they want to do versus what God, right?
Yep.
I mean, so this is where the conflict is between free will and listening to the, because, we're souls. Our souls they came from the original source, in God in the beginning, right? The spirit, right. God's a spirit. So that spirit gave us our spirit, our soul. We have a little piece of him within us. That's why Jesus said that the kingdom of God is within you.
Yep.
So he gave you a mind so that you can reason. And there's that scripture that says, come, let us reason, says the Lord. So you're supposed to reason with God when he gives you that gut feeling,
Yep.
But you got to keep your heart right, So if your heart is messed up, then, it takes work to do the right thing. And some people just aren't willing to put the work into it.
That's true. It takes a lot of work to do research too, to find your way to the truth of things. And a lot of people don't want to do that work either.
Right.
And it's sad because honestly, when you start to jump down rabbit holes and you start finding things that don't make sense, and I'm telling you, it is such a good feeling when you are like, whoa, wait a minute. Now that makes better sense. I bet that's true. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper and find out. It makes you feel like, I don't know, I guess like those people that like to dig up dinosaur bones, how they feel that they've made a discovery and they're all happy, and it gives them a good feeling. It's kind of like that. And your mind starts working and does things that you've never thought about it doing before. You really start opening up your mind when you start finding out some of this stuff is just absolutely wrong. And you find it yourself. Research is an awesome thing. It really is.
Right.
But you have to take that initiative. And there are so many people that don't want to take that initiative. They don't want to do that work. They would rather just have somebody say, well, this is how it is.
Just spoon feed me like I'm a little baby.
Yeah.
Me that applesauce already chewed up and
That's right.
Like a little baby bird, mommy chews it up and then feeds the baby. But now baby bird's got to grow up and fly, make his way in the world. And
so who else do you think that we have, or what else do you think we have for the conspiracy theories?
Well, there's the Mandela effect, the Mandela.
Oh, the Mandela effect.
Ooh, that one's a big one,
That is a big one, because that one now makes you think, okay, wait a minute. Is somebody going back in time and changing this stuff? that we're seeing now, the Mandela effect is a very interesting thing. Like you've said it before. Wasn't it like a movie that had just came out and everybody said it just came out and you went in to go see it and you were like, no, wait, I've seen this movie before?
Okay, so that was me, Penny, and this girl named Jen. We went to the movie theater to see Dumbo, of all movies, about the elephant.
Right.
Right. And we're sitting in the movie theater, and I'm like, the scene where this guy walks into he's at the carnival, and the carnival guy is in this little trailer, like a little wagon trailer thing where his little office is or whatever. And so they go in to sit down at the desk, and all of a sudden I'm like, I already seen this movie. I'm looking at this movie going, I've done seen this movie. I already know this. Now I remember this whole movie. So I'm telling Penny, I'm like, Penny, I said, I done seen this whole movie. I already know this whole thing, and they're like, and I said, actually, I remember us being here a year ago in the movie theater, watching this movie 1 year ago. And I said, I remember this whole scene. I can tell you everything that's going to happen. Like, I just remember now the movie. And she's like, no, we never saw this movie before. Right. And I'm like, yeah, we did. It was a year ago. It's like time got reset like a year ago. I remember the memory. It was so weird. And then by the end of the movie, Penny looks at me. She goes, did we see this movie before? And I'm laughing. I'm like, yeah, we did. Because it was all familiar to her. Huh?
I've done that. I've seen something that I know I've seen before, and someone will say, no, they just put that there. What are you talking about?
See, that's what happened with the Transformers. Okay, so this one was really weird. So Joel wanted to go see the movie Transformers, and it was supposed to be the one where Bumblebee, or no, was it Bumblebee? Yeah, Bumblebee. It's supposedly, okay, so you had all these Transformer shows, and then all of a sudden they decided to make a Transformer show that was actually the original before the others. But they supposedly made this at the end of a whole series, right? Which just didn't make sense at all, right? So my son's like, hey, let's go see this Transformer movie. And I was like, okay. So we go to see the movie, and we're sitting in the theater, and then I'm watching the scene where Bumblebee goes home with the girl, and she puts him in the garage. She's in the garage with him, and then he turns into the robot. He goes in the house and starts trashing out the house. And I was like, Joel, I done seen this movie before. No, Mom, there's no way you saw this movie. I go, yeah, he's gonna trash out the whole house. The parents are gonna come home. They're gonna get mad. Then she's gonna oh well, and I go, and I said, I could tell you the whole exact movie. I've seen it before. I went with it to see. I went to see it back, probably, I'm gonna say, somewhere in the probably 2000s or something, with my daughter. It was even before Joel was born. Okay, so Joel wasn't even born when I saw this movie, right? And I'm like, I seen this 20 years ago, Joel. This is I'm like, it was literally 20 years later or something. Maybe the 90s. I don't even know. It was way long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like,
and it makes you sit there and think to yourself, well, if I didn't see this before, why do I know what it is? Why do I know what's happening?
Yeah, I was like, I told him the whole movie. I knew it in detail because it was so funny. He goes in there and he trashes out this girl's house. I mean, he went in there to watch TV and eat food or whatever, sit on the couch, and he just destroyed the house. Okay, this robot goes in there, this Transformer, he just tears up the parents' house, and they come home and the house is destroyed. So that was a scene. You just don't forget. And
Right.
He's like, no, Mom, there's no way. This is they just made this. Why do you think it's in the movie theater, Mom? Because it just came out. And I'm looking at my son, trying to reason with him, going, okay, but They made this movie before. I saw it. No, this is the first time ever. So that was my argument with Joel. So
Well, that and like even music, like they take lyrics out of music, and when you grow up with it, you learn the words, you sing the song, and you know the words, and then all of a sudden the words will change, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not what they said in that song.
It's not what I remember, right?
Yeah, they just change it.
Well, I heard this one the other day. Walt Disney, remember the mirror, mirror on the wall?
Yeah.
Who's the fairest of them all? Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. It's no longer mirror, mirror on the wall. Now it's magic mirror on the wall. So everybody remembers it being mirror, mirror, but no, it's never been mirror, mirror now. In this reality, it's magic mirror on the wall. Really?
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? It's in a lot of things. I think that just people don't pay attention. They don't realize it.
My first Mandela effect was when I used to go around saying, the Bible says that a fool and his money shall soon be parted. Right? I used to say that back in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I used to quote that. And the Bible says, I'd always say, and the Bible says that a fool and his money shall soon be parted, right?
Right.
So I used to say that to people all the time because, you think about you get your money and then you blow through it so fast because you're fool. You spend it foolishly. You don't budget. You don't spend it wisely. So, I thought that's a pretty good saying, right? So in 1986, I said, I wonder where that scripture is at, So I started digging in the Bible, and I tell you what, it wasn't there. It was not there in 1986. And I'm like, what? Am I losing my mind? Why does it seem like every time I read this Bible, it's like I'm reading a new book? I don't understand this. I'm like, I don't remember reading this. And now, where did that story come from?
I've come to the conclusion that like every 50 to 75 years, they change things just so that us older people will look crazy to the younger people. I think that's what they're doing. They're like, no, Mom.
Then you got to go back to saying, who are they? When you said they, who are we talking about? Who's they?
Well, you can say the government, but I think I lean more towards something bad, evil, corrupt. Well, wait a minute.
How about all of the above? I'd say all of the above. Okay. Right. All the above.
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, and E. Yeah, it's all the above.
Yep. All of the above. I pass. Yeah. Yay. But it's true. What song was it now? I know that I've talked about this before in another podcast with the Mandela effect. And there was a song that the Beatles had made. The Walrus.
Oh.
And the lyrics in The Walrus where they say cuckoo cuckoo.
Yeah.
It's the way we've always sang it. Well, now it's like goo 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 or goo 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 or something like that.
Well, that's just not right.
They changed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, because the good thing about that other podcast, and we were all the same age, just about. So we all remembered the same song and those same lyrics and how we sang it back then. And when we brought up the lyrics that they actually use now, we were like, wait a minute. How are you going to take a song from a bunch of people who have passed away and change their lyrics? Who says you can do that?
Well, I read that Bible like 7 times, like from beginning to end, like 7 times that way. Right. But I read it all the time. So I read different stuff. But that was just 7 times through. Now, I really tripped out whenever I read in there in Exodus where it says it used to say all the firstborn of every male belongs to me, right? Male animal, right?
Right.
Okay. Then now it says all the firstborn that enter the matrix is mine. And I'm like, where the hell did the matrix come from? I never even heard
Well,
the damn word until the movie. So how did
right.
the damn movie end up in the Bible? What the hell is going on here?
Right. Exactly. The Matrix was never in the Bible.
How did the matrix get in the Bible? Not only once, but it's like 5 times in the Old Testament. 5 times.
So with the Mandela effect and the way this stuff changes, what do we account that to? Like, is it people going back in time, changing things? Is it timelines that we're crossing that are different? Is it, what is it? Who is doing this?
All the
And
above.
why?
All the above.
Yeah, you think so? Because
All the above.
you know, and then it's the same way with okay, like let's take
That would be my theory.
I know the theories.
My theory.
But then you have things like of course, if you have studied and you know what you're talking about, you know that we have timeline jumps. Now, I know people probably in my family would look at me and tell me I was stark raving crazy, but do some research on it. When I try to tell people this world isn't what y'all think it is, it really is not. You have to sit and see that there is something seriously wrong. And I don't mean that it's just because the Bidens or the whoever.
You know the famous saying, build it and they will come? Right?
Yes. I've seen that movie several times, and that's what he does. He builds the baseball field, and it said, if you build it, they will come.
Right. That's not even in the movie anymore. It's now if he builds it, he will come. Right. Or what about
See, they said it.
My mama
because-
used to always say that life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Right. That's not the movie no more either.
What? Now what is it? No, leave Forrest alone.
I'm telling you, Mr. Forrest, he had to change his story because, see, here's the thing about God and time, okay? God is the past, the present, and the future. He's all, right?
Right.
He is the past, the present, and the future. So a timeline doesn't exist with God in his realm. Okay. So it's in our time because we living under a clock, right? We live under a clock. So now Forrest Gump said, he in the movie, the famous quote, that people remember, or some people remember, maybe some people don't remember it. I don't know. Just depends how good your memory is. Okay. So if you build, or life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
Then it says life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Not is. You have is and was. So you have the present, and then now he's talking about the past.
Past.
It was like that. Now it's not like that anymore because now it isn't is, it's was. If that doesn't brain, come on. Just saying.
Right.
It's it's a lot to wrap around,
Yeah.
I remember I was in the saddle shop in Austin working when Nelson Mandela died. He's freaking starved to death in a freaking prison. He went on a hunger strike and died. And then all of a sudden one day, I don't know, years later, Nelson Mandela is president. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? That man Is that the dead resurrecting from the dead in the Bible?
Now you know the funny thing about what you just said is I heard the same thing about Nikola Tesla. I actually had read it once before, but then when I was doing research on him not too long ago, it doesn't say that that's what happened. But he was starved to death in a prison, and that is how he died.
Who?
Nikola Tesla.
You remember that? Because I don't even much know about him that much, but
I
do remember Nelson Mandela because I felt sorry for the poor old guy because, you know, died in the damn prison, you know?
Yeah. And I remember
at least that was on that timeline. It doesn't exist.
Right.
It doesn't exist. So, you know,
I read it before.
Somebody prove it. Damn it. Prove it.
And I read it before that's what happened to Nikola Tesla, that, you know, the I don't know, government or whoever it was, somebody, maybe bad people because they wanted his research, but that he had starved to death in prison. Now, when I went looking the other day, because I was doing research on him, because I really would like to do a really good show on Nikola Tesla one night, and I've been researching him for a little while. Then while I was researching it, it was something completely different, like he passed away in his home or something to that effect. And I was like, wait a minute, no, he didn't.
Not in my memory, right?
Why would they say he passed away in his home when after the man passed away, the government went in there and took all of his research?
I've heard that.
Yes.
Yeah, the people who supposedly died and then they're not dead, and that is such a weird one,
Yeah. Then they'll turn around and they'll say, oh, that was a hoax that somebody put out there.
It's always a hoax.
It's always a hoax because, see, if somebody puts it out by accident, then they have to reel it back and then put it out that it was a hoax.
I remember Rick Joyner dying because I used to go to those churches, the IHOP churches and all that. And I remember, he freaking got cancer and died. And like everybody on the planet was like freaking out. He was on my Facebook group. And then next thing I know, like 3 years later, he ain't dead, but his wife died. I'm like, what the hell? And then it's about 3 years later, his wife ain't dead. They're both alive. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting really creepy now, people. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yep.
Like, okay, so like none of that existed. Okay, whatever,
But you have to think outside the box on that now.
Yeah.
Was there something that he was doing or that he was involved in that something happened to him?
Or because, Jerry Lewis died like when he was 70 years old. Then all of a sudden he's like 100 or something now, or died at 90. And he was a grumpy old dude too now,
Yeah. Well, no, I seen a video the other day of him older, and I didn't even recognize him. And it was Jim Carrey had gone to see him.
Right.
And I didn't recognize him till he laughed.
Everybody remembers Bob Barker falling and hitting his head or something and dying. And then he did, then he dies when he's like, or I didn't even recognize that it was Jerry Lewis till he opened his mouth and laughed, because he did the same thing he did when he was younger. That right?
And I was like, oh my God, that's Jerry Lewis. He's still alive. Wait a minute.
I know, right? Wait, what did my memory? Yeah. Well, what about the Bible of Isaiah 11:6? It read that one day that the lion shall lay down with the lamb. Okay. Now, bukus of Christians, older Christians, they all memorize this verse because to them, I think it was a reference of in heaven, the lion will lay down with the lamb and the animals will eat grass and not each other, and stuff like that, So that's what it was referencing, a future kingdom coming. And then all of a sudden, you go in the Bible and it doesn't say the lion will lay down with the lamb. It says now the wolf will dwell with the lamb. It doesn't, not the lion laying, but a wolf dwelling.
Ah,
Okay, so that's completely different. And you Google Isaiah 11:6, right? So there's like this weird residual of time of the old scripture and the new scripture. So when you Google it, if you Google Isaiah 11:6 you go in there and you Google it, and you look for the images, you go to the images and you look at the pictures, it will show you lions and lambs, but it will say the wolf. It'll have the scripture with the word wolf, but it'll show you a picture of a lion. That is what I call a residual, something left over from the old timeline that didn't completely switch over completely. So you have a little bit of both worlds mixing, like a convergence of the two memories of the lamb and the lion and the wolf.
Yep.
It's weird. That's a weird one. Okay.
It is.
That one, yeah. Because a lot of people remembered that. A lot of people remembered that, a fool and his money shall soon be parted. And now they can't find that in the Bible. And they're like, wait a minute. I thought that was in the Bible. It must have been one of Buddha's sayings or something now, So now they have to attribute it to some other something.
Somebody else doing it.
Maybe Buddha told us that, or Krishna. I don't know who said it. I don't even know anymore.
It wasn't good for us, so we're just gonna say something else. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm so confused. I don't know what's up or down. Are we in the upside down world of Stranger Things?
Well, all I can say is, folks, I feel like life is nothing but a big stage. And maybe they screwed up some of it when they were doing the play and they had to go right back and rewrite it. But whatever it is.
It reminds me of the Truman Show, right?
Yes. Watch the Truman Show, because that explains a lot, really.
That's a trippy movie. Yeah,
it is. And it's about as trippy as our world is now.
Our world is getting like that, isn't it? We're like going, oh, yeah. Did you see that the other day, that picture the guy took, or the video with the moon, and there's a giant face looking down? That's like the Truman Show. Like somebody's watching us. Hey, like we're a bunch of ants in a little ant farm.
We're on a petri dish.
Yeah, we're under this firmament dome, and we're being watched like a bunch of little ants in a farm.
Well, think about it. What do? We have ant farms. We put them in things, and we watch what they do and build their homes. Would it not be a trip if that's what it was with us too? We are here. There are people bigger than us that are watching us build our homes, go on with everyday life, go to work, play with our kids, And it's like, but when they don't like it, they shake us like a snow dome. You gotta be able to make jokes. It's like, you gotta be able to make jokes. You gotta be able to laugh about it, because this stuff will make you go, a little wiggy sometimes, And and I really hate the fact that when you start to talk to people, because look, you spend quite a bit of time researching. I spend quite a bit of time researching. Okay. Now, granted, I'm disabled, so I'm home, and this is what I do. It gives me something to do. I'm not completely bored. I can only clean so many spots in my house so many times a day. So it's like I devote time, thought, and work into doing research. Okay. To the point that sometimes when I find things, it really can confuse me. And then I have to go back and retrace my steps because somewhere I missed something. But then I do all this And people tell me to go get my tinfoil hat on. They tell, and I laugh at them. One of these days, I'm going to make a tinfoil hat, by God, and I'm going to wear it proudly, proudly,
Oh,
because I'm just saying everything that people don't agree with or they don't want to think about, it could be true. They just go around calling everybody a conspiracy theorist. Well, if I'm telling you the truth because I found this stuff and I did the legwork myself and I worked hard, I will proudly wear that I don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think I'm a conspiracy realist.
so is there anybody in the chat that had a question?
No, I was looking. I'm trying to because the YouTube chat will come up, but the only one that doesn't is the Facebook chat. So I've been keeping an eye back and forth, kind of bouncing back and forth. But we probably will get more people that'll watch the episode now that it's on YouTube. Thank God.
Yes,
go
this is
back
our
and watch it
our
like I
first live. Yeah.
Yeah, because our first two that we did that were live, we only did them on Facebook, and they were still screwed up, and we had to send them to other people. But now I've gotten that all taken care of. So,
You know what I left out too? Okay, so the JFK theory, okay. Now we've heard about, the facts of who actually shot JFK. It only took 50 years to get that answer. Okay. We also have learned JFK Jr. is somewhere. We have, according to what we've heard in the grapevine, and the other thing we've heard is that there is another person claiming to be JFK, John F. Kennedy's son, who wrote a book recently, and I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm not disproving or validating. I'm not confirming or denying. Okay, like in other words, I don't know
because
but
nowadays I have found is anything is possible. Anything.
he does have some very valid information in his book that he wrote. He has a picture of him with Elvis, Sonny Barger, the Hell's Angel. He has stories. He was involved in a lot of CIA operations. He wrote it in his book. He just published a book recently. So, I mean,
now we're going to bring that up because I know what you're going to say, but I want to do a whole show about the whole MK Ultra and all that stuff. So don't get too far into that one because we're going to save this story for that day.
Right. And we should probably have Elizabeth come on and share what she knows.
Yep. And I actually thought about that. I was going to either me or you, one of us, reach out to her and see if she would like to come on that night. I know she had to get a new phone. I don't know if she got her computer yet, but yeah, that would be good to have her come on because she has a lot of valid information, which is good.
Yeah.
So yes, I want to make sure
that she's read his book and she's talked. I talked with him a little bit on the phone, and he, from what I could tell, I can't say that I know, who's his parents, but he was definitely raised up in the government program and did work within a lot of programs. He did know a lot of people. He did validate a lot of that. So, but I don't, there, and like you said, the programs that a lot of these kids are involved in and stuff, it goes down when you talk about MK Ultra and you talk about people who have been used for different things.
Yes, and the mind control problems.
That's a very complicated.
Yes, that's why I said I want to to get with you and put that show together and make one show of the whole thing. I also want to get with a friend of mine that I had met who is missing 20 years of her life because of that. She's completely lost 20 years. And
Wow.
I want to try to get her to come on too. So that'll be interesting. That'll be
Right.
something that I want to work on to make one big show about that, because it is information that does need to get out, because it has happened. It is still happening,
Yeah.
and it'll probably still happen until somebody puts a stop to it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people that know about it. There's a lot of people that have been in it. There's a lot of people whose lives that it has ended.
Yes.
You know,
There's quite a few people who, I guess the word for whistleblowers, who have come forward and shared their stories. They've,
Yep.
Or they're truth tellers, or just people trying to find answers.
Yes.
People who have from different walks of life and, have had these experiences,
Yes.
sort of like in that movie Stranger Things. If you think about 11 was part of a program, and it all boils down to tapping into the spiritual realm and using those gifts of God that are within us, and then they tap into these children or people and trying to, they
Control that.
try to use those, for different purposes,
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will do that. I really would like to get us a show together for that, because that's one whole thing that is one big rabbit hole we can jump into, and it'll take us all of 2 hours to talk about it.
Right.
So yes, I really want to get that together. But these conspiracies, I have to laugh because of some of the things that these people come up with, and we know they've lied. We know they're not telling us the truth. We know that there are things that they say that are absolutely impossible, but they turn it around on everybody like we're nuts. Well, people, we are not nuts. We are not crazy. There are thousands, if not millions, of people that are on the same page, that understand and that know. So all I can say is drop your guard, open your mind, start looking outside of what you're being told, and you'll find the answers. Absolutely. So what do we want to end with now?
How much more time we got?
We have got, oh, hang on a minute. And there's Mr. Andy.
Andy.
Hi,
Andy.
Andy. We've had some interesting conversations, Mr. Andy.
Oh, have you?
But we got probably about another 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. So
what do we want to throw in here?
Now this is a weird one.
Oh, I like weird.
Okay. This one's weird. This one is, what is the Galactic Federation of Light, right? What is it? Yeah. That's a weird one. Right?
Well, and the thing of it is if you remember that video that we showed on another show about that, I showed it about the woman who says that she is a walk-in, and that's where she's from.
Yeah, Linda Good McGillis.
Yes. So now I've heard bad things about that, and I've heard good things about it. So
hey, our the UPS guy, okay?
Uh-oh.
He says he goes over there to Linda's house and knocks on the door, and there's somebody that I know personally, okay? So
yeah,
he goes over and knocks on the door, and nobody answers the door. He's got some packages to deliver over at the McGillis's house, right? So he decides to go around the backyard and gets around the back, and he sees a bunch of naked people running around. kids included.
Oh my
And he
goodness.
freaks out and runs. He used to say the UPS driver never wanted to go back. He never went back to that house again. Okay. He's like, oh, hell no. You know,
Do you believe him?
out in the middle of East Texas, I don't think he's going back to that house again.
So that would be us sitting there. What the hell? What the
Like,
hell?
what the hell? Out there in the
Tell you
woods,
about
running
that.
around naked, you know?
What the hell?
So, yeah. So, yeah, she has a little restaurant and serves UFO cookies and, you know, I don't know. She's a walk-in. She claims she's of the Galactic Federation of Light. She claims that Linda died, the woman that was born Linda in that body, and then Linda dies, and then this man takes over her body, which he calls himself Ra, like the sun god.
Yeah.
And so he's the entity that now resides in the body of Linda. So Linda's voice is kind of manly now. And so they're all love and light. Yeah, love and light. But her husband is a convicted pedophile predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have nothing good to say about the Galactic Federation of Light. Nothing other than, you know, nothing. I have nothing good to say. You know, I'm just going to say it's all just a Luciferian cult under the name of the Galactic Federation of Light.
See, I
So a
kind
lot
of
of people-
wonder. I wonder if there's something different about this Federation of Light that isn't associated with Linda and them, because I know people that I've heard that speak or channel through these people,
Yeah.
and they're doing good, trying to help the planet, trying to help the people, trying to help. So there's got to be something
So they say.
different.
So they
Well,
say.
that's true. I mean, this planet has got a lot of resources, and I hear that a lot of
You have to
alien
listen to the
races-
language. You know, the language is
Right.
love and light. But what kind of love? Like running around with kids naked love? You know,
Right.
what kind of love are we talking about?
eating people love. I love you, so I'm going to eat you.
Yes, I love to eat you. Yes. How do we define that word? You know, it's just can't just use them randomly, you know.
I'm very, very dumbfounded sometimes, you know, and I'm not going to say when I hear stuff like this, I'm not going to tell you I don't believe it. I'm not going to tell you that I absolutely believe it. It's just what I say is, with the way things are, anything is possible. Okay. I mean,
If
anything.
the scripture says that Lucifer comes as a angel of light. Okay, Lucifer. So the Galactic Federation of Light is Lucifer. Yeah.
Right.
That's his little club or cult, as you want to put it. Okay.
Yeah. And that whole thing is going to make for a really good story one day.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if people are channeling from those entities, yeah.
They might not be that good. They might want to.
Yeah, it's going to go sideways. Okay. That's not the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
No.
And really, that should be the only thing that people pays attention to as far as anything channeling is the Holy Spirit. They don't channel. The Holy Spirit is in everyone. Listen to your gut instincts. Listen to that voice in your head that tells you, don't do that. Don't do it. You know, like I said, when I was younger, I believe in guardian angels because I've had one all my life. And that guardian angel saved my life when I was younger. I was coming out of kindergarten. The crosswalk lady was already in the middle of the street. Kids had gone. My mama was standing on the other side of the road. My mom, my grandma. And the crosswalk lady gave me the hand, like, come on, hurry up. So I started to take off, and I just got to the curtain, and I heard somebody call my name. So I stopped and turned around. Well, unbeknownst to me, when I stopped to turn around, a car went flying 60 miles an hour through right in that lane. Had I stepped off that curb, it would have hit me and I'd have been dead. But I turned around and I seen this beautiful woman in a beautiful dress, long red hair. And she just looked at me and smiled and waved. And I was like, hey. I turned around. Of course, the crosswalk lady looked like she'd seen death. My mother was down on her knees. And I get across the road and they asked me, why did you stop and turn around? And I said, that woman called me. My mother says, what woman? I said, that lady right there. And I could still see her smiling. And my mom didn't see anybody. Nobody. And there's been times in my life when I have felt on a downward. And that same woman, as I'm growing up, would come to me and say things to me or warn me about things. Still to this day. So,
Wow, that's beautiful.
I don't know. To me, is she part of Holy Spirit? Just coming to me to where I can see what she looks like or what I would imagine that she would look like? Or
Right.
do I have something that watches over me all the time? Well, that I do believe.
Right.
So there are warnings. People get warnings. And a lot of times they just don't listen to them. But
Right.
I've learned when I get a bad gut feeling or I hear a voice in my head that says, don't do something. I've learned. I listen. I listen now. I pay attention.
How old were you when that happened?
Maybe 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you still remember
young.
what you look like, huh?
Yes, I can. I tell you, she has beautiful long red hair. She has the prettiest green eyes you ever did see in your life. She always has a real pretty flowing white dress.
Huh.
Her skin color is the most beautiful ivory white I've ever seen.
Wow.
And to this day, I can remember what she looks like. I
Wow.
remember her voice. Her voice was not mine. It was completely different. It was almost like
What did she say to you?
good vibration. She actually, when I was younger, she didn't say anything. She called my name and I turned around. And when I turned around, she just looked at me and smiled and waved at me. And so I smiled and waved back.
That is creepy.
And you know, when you're 6 years old, 5, 6, 7 years old, and somebody does that and they smile and they're waving at you, well, it doesn't dawn on you like, whoa, back off. Who are you, lady? I don't know you. Get away. You know, you're like, oh, hey, hi.
Right.
You know,
And
so
she was so beautiful. You know.
it was calming.
Yeah.
Like it makes any time that I hear her voice tell me something and I don't do it. The feeling that I get is so calming. It's almost like a warming up in my chest. You know, just like a warming sensation in my chest.
Wow.
And it feels good. So trust me, whenever I hear that voice, or if I see her, I know that I just better pay attention to her and only her, and that's my tunnel vision.
Wow.
Because something else around me is happening that probably shouldn't happen. So it's been something I've always paid attention to since I was little.
Yeah.
And I will not pay attention to it ever.
Right.
She tells me things. My grandson was born very, very, very early. And my daughter was afraid that we were going to lose him. And I said, no, we're not. Why? Because that voice told me that that baby is absolutely precious and he'll be just fine.
Oh,
And I knew it. I knew it.
that's good.
And my daughter got mad. You don't know that, Mom. Yes,
Oh,
actually, I do. And
she wanted to make sure that she wanted to hear you confirm it again. That's why your daughter said that. She wanted confirmation because she was so worried.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew. When my mother, anytime my mother went in, had surgery, she had a triple bypass. She lost her leg, all kinds of stuff. And every time I went to the hospital and I seen her, I was always told that she's going to be fine. And I always knew. The last time that she was in the hospital, I was told she was coming home. And I knew she wasn't going to make it. I already knew. So that voice and that angel has been with me all my life. And I don't ever want to lose her. Ever.
See, and you know, with God, it's unconditional love. Like,
Oh, yeah.
see, with God, it's forever.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
I got something in my ear and it really, I mean, in my ear, in my eye, and it's really not my finger.
But it is now.
Yeah, I know, right? I think an eyelash decided to come off and be free.
It's your eyeball.
It's my eyeball.
Got something in there. It's called an eyeball, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? No, it's making my eyes water now. Oh my God. Ah!
Ah,
But yeah, so like I said, we'll talk about what we're gonna do, but we are getting ready to run out of time. So Susie, tell people where they can find you.
Facebook, Suzanne Hott, Hotte, and
And you're also on Awake Nation
on
and
Awake
Workout
Nation.
Post.
Dave Zublick. I think you can go to Rumble, and I'm on there every other Friday. But also, I think you can. I think they have a TV.
Oh no, where'd she go? Hi, Robin. We're getting ready to wrap it up, but I do like to talk to you, ma'am, because Susie and I are going to put up and do a show that is right up your alley. So, and I think I want to have you come on when we have that show. Tonight, we've done a really good show about conspiracy theories. It's been kind of fun. We've hit on a lot of different stuff. So, uh-oh. Her phone just went out.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
She needs a computer and she needs a
Yes.
better phone.
We need to get her a computer. Absolutely.
And a better phone.
We've already Penny and I talked about that. But yeah, we're going to put that show together, Robin. So I was actually going to send you a message tonight and get with you about it. And rewatch the show. It was pretty fun. And we are going to get ready to go. And Andy, where all can
Yes.
you be found?
Facebook.
Here,
On
there, and
this
everywhere.
show.
On this show.
On this show. 2 other
And then-
shows.
and the Misfit show on Saturday nights.
Saturdays.
And
Yep.
yes.
Which will be the 80s.
Tuesdays, right? Tuesdays and Fridays. Robin said hi, Andy.
Hi, Robin. Fridays,
Tuesdays
though,
and
I'll be
Fridays.
on the Challenge Coin.
Yes. The Challenge Coin
podcast.
show. Yeah. So Tuesdays and Fridays, I'll be here on the Outside the Box. And on Saturdays, you can find me on Sports Cat Misfit Show. And
Saturday's
We're
gonna be
going
fun.
to, yeah, that's where we just got loose. There are shoes in the corner.
80s hair
Right.
and lipstick.
I know it. But everybody, do as I say. Just try it. Open your mind and look around outside of that box, because you'll find a lot more to this planet than what you think. And it's not what you think. There's a lot of good things beyond the veil. A lot of good things. You just got to open your mind and open your heart. So for now, I'm going to say good night to everybody. And y'all take care. Hope that you've enjoyed, and thank you for watching. And we will see you Tuesday night. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.